Mr. Netanyahu's meeting with Donald Trump will give world leaders a sense of how willing the U.S. president is to budge on tariffs. Ahead of that meeting, the Israeli leader met with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Mr. Netanyahu is hoping Mr. Trump will ease the 17% tariffs imposed on Israeli goods last week. Now, those levies came even after Israel said it would cancel customs duties on American products. Israel's main problem is its trade surplus with the U.S., which came up to $7.4 billion last year. It is the largest among countries in the Middle East. And for more, Trent Murray joins us live from Tel Aviv. Trent, what does Mr. Netanyahu bring as a bargaining chip to secure a tariff exemption?
Well, I think, as you rightly say, many leaders will be closely watching this meeting because for Mr. Netanyahu, he is somewhat the canary in the coal mine here, the first world leader to have a sit-down one-on-one with President Trump following that major tariff announcement. He will likely go into that meeting pointing to the fact that Israel and the United States signed a free trade agreement all the way back in 1985. And in the early days of last week, the Israelis came out quite quickly to say that 98% of imports to Israel from the US were already exempt from tariffs, and the final 2%, well, those tariffs and taxes were going to be removed. But it seemingly wasn't enough for the White House to avert its gaze from Israel when it came to that 17% tariff, amongst the highest in this region. The difficulty for the Israelis in all of this is their exports to the US are often in high-tech sectors, things like pharmaceuticals, chips, robotics, software, hardware, things that are not necessarily easy to just pick up and transplant to the United States. Those are arguments that Mr. Netanyahu will likely try and make with the president later today. He did have that meeting with the Commerce Secretary, which the Prime Minister's office here has described as warm, friendly and productive. But Israeli media sources are saying they left that same meeting with an understanding there is only one person in Washington that has the power to decide to reduce any of these tariffs, and that, of course, is President Trump himself.
And his visit comes a year and a half after the 7th of October attacks. What would the discussions on Gaza likely focus on, Trent?
Well, we are seeing the IDF really ramp up its military manoeuvres in the Gaza Strip as part of a program to try and seize more control of the territory to create what they describe as buffer zones. Now, it is estimated right now that the IDF is fully in control of about 40% of the total landmass within the Strip, but there is thoughts here that they do want to try and go further. It's not expected that the White House will try and slam on the brakes here. There's certainly been no rhetoric suggesting that the White House is going to ask Israel to take a step back here. In fact, we're seeing increased military postures from the US themselves. We've seen a new air defense system placed here within the last 48 hours. There is some reporting that further air defense systems are going to be moved from the Korean Peninsula here to the Middle East. And of course, the US does continue to bring in naval assets. Much of that is thought to be about this brewing kind of showdown with Iran. Certainly strong rhetoric coming from both here, the US and Tehran itself. So a lot to be discussed in this meeting, not just about Israel and Gaza, but the wider Middle East we do expect.
All right. Thanks, Trent Murray there in Tel Aviv.